Out and asked if you had read the indictment. You said you read it word for word, page for page, right?
I did. I keep up. I love Jackson.
Even though they've not been in court and they've not been found guilty, it's just an indictment.
They don't see it. My first statement was, think of your family. Think about your family. Put your family first.
I never thought in a million years we would have been put in the situation that we were in. Never. Because we went through our whole career doing the right thing.
It's utterly ridiculous to me. Utterly ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. And good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's edition of the Othor Cain Show. I'm Othor Cain. Glad to have you aboard on this wet and chilly Tuesday evening. We are excited that you've opted to join us. We've got a great show, a very jam-packed hour ahead of us tonight. I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for helping us out at the end of the broadcast. I'm going to shout out some names for those folk who have been really on the money and really helping us do this, supporting this independent media, supporting this African-American media. We are grateful. We are appreciative, and any other adjective that I could think of. We are there. We could absolutely not do this without you. So please don't stop supporting. Every dime that you give us goes to help us in our efforts to continue to tell stories, to be able to tell stories without fear of retribution, right? To be able to tell stories that matter, and really to be able to ensure that we have a very informed electorate, and just an informed community, right? Just an informed community. I think knowledge is power, and in the atmosphere, the climate that we are in now, more than ever before, right? We need to be able to tell our stories, and we need to be able to tell our stories without fear. People get scared. People get scared and they react, right? People get scared and they react. And that's what independent journalism is all about. We don't have to be afraid to tell the stories that matter, to tell the stories that are important. We're not restricted. Right? We're not restricted by guidelines. We're not restricted by time or anything like that. We're able to tell stories that absolutely matter. So thank you for your support. We are grateful. Hey, Barbara, how are you? Hey, Sheila, thank you for your support. We are grateful. Don't stop supporting us. The Cash App information is scrolling across your screen now. Every single dime that you give, we are appreciative. And yes, we do have Zelle and PayPal, and we'll get that info up as well. So thank you for asking that, inquiring about that. But we've got a great show, and I don't, I'm a little confused as to where to start. There's a QR code you can use as well, but I'm a little confused almost where to start tonight's conversation, because we've got just a lot to talk about. But I think, I'll get this conversation out of the way, and then we'll move into our Bennie Thompson conversation, and then we'll have. No, you know what? I think that I'll do the Bennie Thompson conversation first, and then we'll have a Ben Allen conversation, and then we'll have a quick conversation about Kendrick Lamar and his Super Bowl halftime performance. Right? There are some woke folk out there. There are some not so woke folk out there, but we'll talk about it. It's been a debate, and I understand. Fortunately, I understand both sides of the debate. And you want to know how and why I understand both sides of the debate? Because I was on both sides of the debate, and we'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. So I think that I want to turn our attention to our conversation with Congressman Bennie Thompson. In fact, I just, before this live, got off of a town hall meeting that Congressman Thompson did. He conducted a virtual town hall meeting tonight just to talk about the chaos that's in D.C., that's happening in D.C. With Donald Trump in the White House. And it's a mess, and more is to come, right? It's a mess. More is to come. But Congressman Thompson did an excellent job of guiding us through executive orders and what does it mean and things that we can do. Because I know we're tired. I know we are overwhelmed. I know we are exhausted as well from all of this, because so much is happening. Yeah, Barbara, it really was an excellent town hall. I know we're exhausted. I know we're tired. Because it's so much, right? It's so much at one time. But this country and the way it's set up, and the Constitution, the way it's set up, was never designed to be run off of executive order. So there's a lot that we could do. So I had an opportunity to catch up with Congressman Thompson, and we too talked about things that are happening in DC. And so if you were not able to catch his town hall, this is the perfect place for you to be. So we had an opportunity to catch up with him on Thursday, and I want to bring that interview to you now. Take a listen. And welcome back to the broadcast tonight. We are excited to have joining us now is Congressman Bennie Thompson. He represents the 2nd Congressional District. I think that he is everybody's congressman in Mississippi, whether you live in the 2nd District or not. He is the longest serving Democratic elected official in the state of Mississippi, and he is the lone Democrat in Washington, D.C., and we are excited to have him join us now. Congressman Thompson, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, Brother Cain. How you doing?
I am doing good, man. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to be with us. I know these are some turbulent times in Trump's America, and you're navigating a lot in D.C. And by the way, I should say that Congressman Thompson is joining us from D.C. Congressman, a lot to talk about, but here's where I want to start with you tonight. You know, I think that you made history. I don't know that anybody can say that they got the Presidential Citizens Medal. You know, that is the 2nd highest civilian award in the country. And then you get a pardon from President Biden as well. So first of all, congratulations on the award. I think it is absolutely well-deserved. I think that you led a stellar committee, leading the January 6th committee, and I think that the country absolutely appreciates you for that. But I want to start with the pardon. I know that you talked about, you know, once you start hearing things that people say. And when people say things, you tend to believe them, particularly when they are threats, right? Talk to me about this preemptive pardon that you were issued by President Biden.
Well, thank you so much, Othor. As I said, I'm glad to have an opportunity to talk to you and your audience about a lot of things. As you know, I chaired the January 6th committee, and we looked at why people did what they did on January 6, 2021, breaking into the United States Capitol, wanting to hang the vice president, wanting to kill Nancy Pelosi. They assaulted the police, did a whole lot of things. But more importantly, is we needed to look into the facts and circumstances as to why that happened. And so what we looked at and found was that what your audience and everybody else around the world saw really did happen. It wasn't Black Lives Matter people. It wasn't Antifa. These were, for the most part, white insurrectionists who didn't like the outcome of the election, and they were sicked on the United States Capitol by Donald Trump to try to stop it. Well, we believe that the work of our committee showed beyond a reasonable doubt that we were correct, right. That Donald Trump started it, he created it, he invited people to come to Washington on January 6th. At the end of the invite, which was a tweet, he said it's going to be wild. Well, if I invite you somewhere and I tag it by saying it's going to be wild, that tells you that something is amiss. So obviously, over 140 law enforcement people got hurt. A lot of people who otherwise was just doing their job, right. Got locked in the rooms for their own protection. And so for 2 years, we looked at that. We had hearings. We interviewed people all over the country about what they knew about it and presented our story. Donald Trump didn't like it. And so when he ran for president, he basically said he was going to inflict retribution on the people, that he wanted to be a dictator for a day, all kind of threats. You and I both, we live in Mississippi. Right. We understand how when white Mississippians or white Southerners who are extremists and believe Donald Trump is their daddy, then they'll do anything. Absolutely. So I think President Biden looked at this and said, look, Bennie Thompson and a whole bunch of folk was just doing the job that Congress asked him to do. He took an oath as a member of Congress to serve his country, and that's what he did. And he should not feel threatened because he did his job. Absolutely. And so I think that was the spirit in which we received it. Obviously, we did not do anything criminal. There was nothing wrong with telling the truth. Now, people don't like the truth, but it's not criminal. But I can tell you, based on the telephone calls that I received and other comments that I received, the pardon was welcome. Absolutely. And so we move forward. It's unfortunate because we ought to be a better country than that. And it's only when people like Donald Trump show up that the ugly underbelly shows up. And so we have to still work for the good of this country and not the bad.
Totally agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. The ugly shows up with Donald Trump. Now, today or yesterday or maybe the day before, you stood with some people because Donald Trump pardoned all of those insurrectionists from January the 6th, which is so unfortunate. You know, you have law enforcement that lost their lives, and you had all these people that were hurt, but yet he just did a blanket pardon for all of these people, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, well, you got to understand, it was 1,500 people he pardoned. Now, a good number of them pled guilty. The other group went to trial and was found guilty by a jury of their peers. And so we had people sentenced to 22, 23 years who walked out of jail free. We had people threatening law enforcement, doing all kinds of things, and walking out of jail free. We had people, as you know, who broke into a Black Methodist church here in the District of Columbia. A lot of things, Othor. And so Donald Trump just, I won't use the word that he used when he decided to pardon them, but he said, F it, I'm going to pardon them all.
All of them. That's what
and
he
that's
said.
what he did.
Yeah.
And so, again, when you have somebody like Donald Trump in the most powerful position in the world, and someone who chooses to exercise the position that he holds in the manner that he does, we have a clear and present danger. Let me share part of that clear and present danger so your audience will understand it. He's now put Elon Musk, somebody who's not elected, somebody who was born in South Africa, somebody who basically is the president in absentia, only in the sense that we didn't vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
But America is being run by some called the Doze Committee. And that committee basically is getting your information, my information, and everybody else's information. They are not tenured employees. They are new employees. So now they're going through Social Security information. They're going through health information. And on top of that, they sent every federal employee in the country a letter saying you can resign right now and we'll pay you through September. This guy doesn't have the authority to exercise that. That power is inherent in Congress.
Right.
We set the budget.
Right.
You know, the president carries it out.
Right.
Now, if we pass a bill and the president disagrees with it, he vetoes it and then comes back to us and we consider the override. But the bill he's trying to do with executive order has already been signed by the president. It's already law. So as one of the people say, he said, I'm a king. And you know, a king doesn't deal with democracy.
Right.
In other words, when I say this, this is it. But that's not how it's played. So we're in a mess up here. Yesterday, he started the process of getting rid of the Department of Education.
Right.
Now, all of us in this country understand the value of an education.
Correct.
But we also understand the value of a miseducation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you and your audience will remember, it wasn't too long ago when we had separate and unequal education in this country, right, especially in the South. It took the federal government and the United States Department of Education to come in here and get it right. And so our problem now is they want to push it back. And guess who? Our people would be governed by the Mississippi State Department of Education. And they're in the process now of trying to figure out how we can support the private schools.
Correct.
Rather than the public schools.
Correct. Correct.
So we are in a pickle, and we're going to have to push back. We're going to have to resist. Our kids' education is at risk. Our kids' college education is at risk. Our veterans' health care is at risk. Everything that Donald Trump is trying to destroy is what built America to what it is today.
Right.
Last point I want to share, and we can talk a little bit. There are some people concerned about, well, USAID.
Yes.
And why don't we do away with foreign aid. Well, one of the reasons we as a country are number one is how we treat our friends and neighbors overseas.
That's right. That's
If
right.
we don't help feed and clothe our neighbors, then guess what? Our enemies are going to feed and clothe our neighbors, and that means the enemy gets bigger. So if we don't help support Africa and other underserved countries, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, they going to do it. And they're already our sworn enemy.
Right.
And so part of that USAID program is to help those countries get on their feet, notwithstanding the fact that if we don't, our enemies will. And so that's where we are right now. But again, my perception is that Donald Trump is only about money. The millionaires and billionaires are who he hang out with.
Right.
He's now making money with his sovereign wealth funds from Saudi Arabia for his son-in-law and all of this thing. And by the way, he pardoned his son-in-law. Well, he pardoned his son-in-law's father and then appointed him to an ambassadorship.
Right.
But they said when Joe Biden pardoned his family, oh, it was the worst thing in the world.
Correct.
And you and I know that if Joe Biden hadn't pardoned his son and family members, Donald Trump would have given them holy hell for the rest of their life.
That's exactly right.
And we can't have that. So the solution, we got to register, we got to vote. There were a lot of people who look like you and me who thought because Donald Trump's signature was on a COVID check that he was good. Donald Trump and the Republicans voted against it.
Absolutely.
Democrats were in the majority, and we voted to fund the COVID relief package that gave people the stimulus checks.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, Donald Trump became president after that process, and he said, I'm going to take the Secretary of Treasury's name off the check and put mine on it. And we said, well, we're trying to get the money out to the people because they need it.
Right.
So that's how his name showed up on the check. He was against the program.
And all of a sudden he became a hero because of it.
Please. That's right.
He became a hero. You know, I want to go back, Congressman, if you would, to one thing that you talked about when you were talking about the USAID. So in the last couple of days, I've been reading about, one of the reasons that this foreign aid, that we provide this foreign aid is because of influence and because of power. And so there's something that's called soft power, soft influence, or something like that. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, it's this old theory, guns or butter. If I feed you, then over time, I'll have influence on you. But otherwise, it's going to be more expensive to fight you. So that's the gun and butter theory and the whole soft level of diplomacy that we use. And look, we feed people all around the world because when you're number one, you can't sit on an island and remain number one. You have to go out and work with allies all around the world to remain number one. And that's what we've done as a country. Now we have a person who's stuck on himself in the White House. It's all about him. Every morning, most of us wake up now wondering what crazy thing Donald Trump has done today.
Right.
And that's not how you become a world power. That's not how you stay a world power. And the thing that bothers me the most, Othor, is now anything that's bad is because of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah, yeah.
We just had the plane crash here in Washington, where the plane and helicopter crashed, and he blamed it on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we said, well, they're advertising for people to work. They want to hire the disabled. They want to hire Black and brown people. Okay, but they still have to meet the qualifications.
Right.
So what he's saying is we shouldn't recruit at Jackson State or Tougaloo or Alcorn or Mississippi Valley anymore. We should just go to the other schools, and if there's somebody there, we'll take them. But really, he's really playing to the lowest element possible. On that plane crash, both the pilots on the plane were white.
And the
Both
helicopter.
the pilots on the helicopter
That's
were
right.
white.
Right.
And the people that were working in the tower were white. But then when they asked him what information he had that diversity, equity, and inclusion had something to do with it, he said, well, I just know. You know, that's that arrogance that as a country, we need better. And so now, as you know, all the federal employees are being basically threatened with a job. They got an email from somebody they had never heard of.
Right.
And
Right.
saying you got so many days to make a decision, or your job may or may not be there.
And how can the government pay you for all these months that you don't work anyway?
And look, exactly, because we do the budget.
Right.
You know, that's a legislative function, not a function given to the president.
Right.
That's why all these lawsuits that have been brought, they've been won. And so the separation of power doctrine is ingrained in the Constitution. You had a judiciary branch with a function, you have a legislative branch with a function, and you have an executive branch with a function. But if you remember when Donald Trump spoke to a right-wing religious group, he said, if you elect me, you'll never have to vote again.
I remember it.
And so here we are at this moment in time. Donald Trump got elected because a lot of people look like us, didn't go vote. Some went voted the other way. My Hispanic brethren got misled. My Palestinian brothers and sisters got misled.
Right.
Now all of them are coming back.
Now they're in fear. Now they're scared.
And we said, wait now, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
And
Right.
so we in this pickle, and we got to work our way out. But it's only sticking together can we work our way out.
Absolutely.
But you know, God don't like ugly. And so what's happening already is they were after, say, that mother that's on food stamps. So I just get tired of that. But now when they pause the money in agriculture, guess what? That plantation owner who goes to the bank, puts for his crop loan that's guaranteed by Department of Agriculture, which is a branch of the federal government.
Right.
And if the crop fails, that crop insurance, which is another federal program, all those programs been paused too. And guess
when they realized it affected them, they had a problem.
That's right. And guess who calling? Those plantation owners saying, you need to help us. And I'll be honest with you. I tell them, I said, look, I supported Kamala Harris. If Kamala Harris had won the presidency, you wouldn't have this problem.
Correct.
Well, but you understand. I said, yes, but I'm not in the majority. There are 3 other members of Congress in the House, and there are 2 members in the Senate. All of them supported Donald Trump. You need to be calling those people, telling them what you faced with. Calling Bennie Thompson doesn't really help you in this situation because I'm already there.
Right.
My record is there. And so what we have now is our veterans are concerned about their health care. We have colleges and universities are concerned about whether or not the viability of their students. As you know, a majority of the kids who go to school
Yes.
in terms of colleges and universities in Mississippi go because of the grants and loans that are made available at the federal level.
Right.
And if we didn't have Pell Grants and all that, our kids couldn't go to school.
Right.
And then they got mad with Joe Biden because he canceled some of the debt.
Right.
You know, I'm saying, you know, these folk out here getting filthy rich at the largest of the government, but then when we get a loan canceled, they mad. My phone was jumping off the hook, talking about it ain't right. They canceling these student loans for these folk. I said, but you getting all this money over here? Well, I work for it. No, brother, don't try to fool me.
That's
But
exactly
see,
right.
that's why they didn't like Joe Biden, because Joe Biden tried to level the playing field. He had the audacity to have a black woman as his vice president.
Correct.
You know, and then the thing that really bothered me during the campaign, Othor, is that there are people running around saying, I don't think it's time for a woman. That job is too big for a woman. I said, give me a break. Women basically make this whole thing work.
Right. And the notion that she didn't have any policy experience and she was weak and short on policy. Man, at the end of the day, it was racism at best.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we fell for it as a country.
Right.
And so now they know what they got. They know they got somebody that basically is not for a majority of the people. It's all about how much money he can make for him and his family while he's president. And then he's out here picking on American citizens.
Right.
And now he went to court. And let me help your audience. You know, this birthright citizenship.
Yes.
That was put into the Constitution after slavery, because all our ancestors were brought here after slavery. And once this government fought the Civil War and won, they put that in law that if you are born in the United States, you are an automatic citizen. But that was because all these black folk were here, born as slaves. They didn't know anything about Africa. So
Right.
our founding fathers and Congress put in law that birthright citizenship. And now all of a sudden Donald Trump want to get rid of it. Said, no, it's bad. And got some of our folk out here talking about, oh, well, we don't need to do that. They ought to go back where they came from. You know, it's sort of like every now and then I get one of those crazy calls and folk talking about, you all go back where you came from. I came from Bolton, Mississippi. You know, that's the only place I can go to. But I know there are other people who came to this country, my Latino brothers. They work hard and they came here seeking a better way of life.
Right.
Just like a whole bunch of other people who come to this country. But the problem that we're dealing with now is somehow they think if we educate those people, they're going to vote for a particular party. So that's why they're trying to get them out of here.
Right.
And so I'm going to resist it, because as a Black American, I sympathize with the downtrodden.
Right.
Because my people had to deal with so much of those injustices and atrocities just to survive.
That's exactly right. Congressman, speaking of that, I wonder if you could speak to not just African Americans, but just the country at large, because you said, and I thought it was right on point. Every day we wake up and we wonder, what is this man going to do today? What is he going to destroy? What is he going to take away? And quite frankly, I think that we're tired. But being tired, even though we're tired, this is not the time to give up. He's doing so much where we can't even keep up with all the things that he's doing, and we're just getting exhausted. So I wonder if you could speak to the fact that, you know, we need to fight through that exhaustion.
Well, you know that old song that says, I ain't no way tired. And we got to look at this Trump situation in that same spirit. If we give up, then he would have won. You know, our country has been challenged historically with issues. We are now challenged as to which direction we'll take. If we take his way, it's all about the wealthy determining everything that goes on in this country. Or if we believe in democratic principles, it means that when I go in the ballot box and when the millionaire go in the ballot box, our vote counts the same.
Right.
And because of that, we have to fight for that principle. It's the principle of doing the best you can with just a little help. You know, Othor, for every dollar that we send to Washington, we get almost $3 back. We need help from the federal government.
Yes.
We're not an independent state, but they want to divide the money up between the haves and the have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
And the haves, in this instance, are the rich folk, and the have-nots is the rest of the people. And because of that, we struggle every day. One example, we've lost $15 billion in Medicaid expansion money that Tate Reeves and other Republican governors won't take.
Right.
Because the bill was passed when Barack Obama was president.
Right. Right.
And they're saying, well, we don't want anything that black man had to do with it. Well, but it's going to help people. I have 29 counties in my district. All 29 are medically underserved.
Right.
You know, I have hospitals closing. I have counties that don't even have a doctor, you know? So we could put all that money back into rebuilding our healthcare infrastructure so that our children will have a chance to be born without underlying conditions, and our seniors will have chances of living longer because the quality of healthcare. So we got a lot we got to deal with,
Right.
Both in the Mississippi level and national level. But under no circumstances should we fall for that okie doke that Donald Trump is good for America. In so many instances, people saying, how in the world did y'all make that mistake again by electing that fellow? Well, when people can get bamboozled, I had friends saying, well, you know, Democrats are for transgender. I said, who told you that? Well, I saw it on TV. But that was a Republican commercial.
Right.
And you don't even know the difference between a paid political ad and the truth.
Right.
And so it's your show and other shows that help spread the truth. But you know, bad news travel fast.
Fast, brother. I'm telling you.
You know, good news it's slow. But
Absolutely.
we got to still talk the good news.
Absolutely. Listen, I know we only got a couple more minutes, but I do want to get you to come home just a little bit and talk about Mississippi, because we're in a pickle in Mississippi as well. And we're in a pickle in Mississippi with folk that look like us. You know, you said people just don't like the truth. You know, I wonder if you could talk about how do we navigate in Mississippi when we got black folk leading?
Well, you know, our challenge is at every juncture, we turn on each other.
Absolutely.
But
I'm a victim of that just recently. Absolutely.
And so, you know, the truth ought to be the best disinfectant.
Right.
Or the truth ought to be the best sunshine for an issue. But if we try to cover the truth up, then we are not acting in the best interest of our communities. And you know, sometimes our leaders don't have an appreciation for the history that got them where they are.
Correct.
And I just think that part of that continuing education is they need to look back and say, now, where were we 10 years ago? Where were we 20 years ago? What did it take for us to get where we are? And then we got to flip the script and make it economic. You know, but if we gain the ability to have people of color in positions of prominence, then we ought to be able to make sure that we create a Black business community,
Right.
that we create a Black middle class, and that we also quit making excuses for things being bad.
That's right.
You know, we got to fix it.
That's
So when
exactly.
they put us in places, we got to vote for the things that make sense. When they put us in place, we got to not forget who put us there. And that's a challenge. That's a constant effort. And then we got to understand who the real villains are. You know, I have never voted against a single issue in Washington that wasn't good for Mississippi.
Right.
But in that return, Tate Reeves has never been to my office, even when he comes to Washington. Haley Barber didn't come to my office when he was governor. And I'm the only person who's voting to send money to Mississippi so Republicans can spend it.
Mm-hmm.
When all our counties got the ARPA money because of COVID, I'm the only guy who voted for it. Hines County got $44 million.
Absolutely.
And if I had to look and say, well, what did we do with that $44 million? We'd say, wow, it just.
You got a loss for words trying to figure it out, right?
I mean, because nobody kind of figured out that was Democrats who sent that money.
Right.
Mississippi got $1.8 billion on the COVID, and then Tate Reeves gonna run around here talking about how much surplus in the budget. That surplus is because of Joe Biden and the Democrats. It ain't because you smart. And so we have to make sure that people understand where things are. And our elected leaders are under an obligation to tell the people the truth.
Right.
And when I say truth is the best disinfectant, I mean that. And then when our elected officials and leaders don't tell the truth, they can't get mad when they get called out.
That's
just tell the truth.
Tell the truth. The truth needs no defending. Just tell the truth.
Yeah. I think you know it. I don't write speeches because the same thing I'm telling Othor Cain, I'll tell the Chamber of Commerce, I'll tell the Rotary,
right?
I'll tell St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church, I'll tell the NAACP.
Right.
It's the same speech, and I think we need more of our elected officials to understand that once we wear the leadership title, we need to do the hard work that goes with it.
Absolutely. Charles Never said one time, if you're in charge, act like you're in charge.
Oh, ain't no question. If you're not, somebody else gonna run it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Congressman, I know you got a million things going on. I really do appreciate your time tonight. You're always spot on issues. You represent us well. I tell everybody, all of Mississippi really is in the second congressional district because you're all we got in DC, and we are grateful.
Well, thank you so much, Othor, and I appreciate you, and I'm glad we worked it out, and maybe we'll make this kind of a regular kind of event.
I absolutely hope we can do that.
Especially, we got elections coming up.
Right.
With every major city in the state, other than those that have special charters. Now is the time that when people come and ask you for their vote, if they are an incumbent, ask them, why haven't you all fixed my street? Why haven't you cut this grass in my neighborhood? Why, when I call the city with a problem, nobody answers the phone? And, because this person wants you to hire them for 4 more years.
Right.
Now, if somebody is running and saying, vote for me, I'm going to put a chicken in every pot, then that's not the person. Have those individuals tell you what their plan is.
Correct.
Say, what's your plan for housing? What's your plan for economic development? what's your plan for making sure that when the police come or call, somebody come when I dial 911? So those kind of things, those basic issues that people want their government to be responsible for. That's not an unreasonable question to ask. Now, the other thing, there's no better way to do it than set up forums for people to come to your community and answer those questions. But don't set the forums up where you got 50 people running for office. You know, you got to scale them down, you know, and do it the right way. So I encourage, you know, this is how we pick our leaders.
Absolutely.
You know, and there's no more democratic way than picking your leaders at the ballot box that I'm aware of. So I encourage people to do it.
Absolutely. Congressman, thank you so much. I hope we can definitely make this a regular thing to keep our people informed. I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Second. All right, that was second congressional Congressman Bennie G. Thompson. We certainly do appreciate his time. We worked hard to kind of coordinate that with all the things that are going on in Washington. So I was glad we had an opportunity to catch up with him. So we're appreciative. I certainly hope that we can work that out and create a regular feature with him, monthly or quarterly, or whatever the case may be. But that's great information. He is absolutely spot on. I think the atrocities that Donald Trump is attempting to cause is just a disgrace, right? It is absolutely just a disgrace. It really is. Well, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you, Red. I really do appreciate you. Let's switch gears really quickly. I want to talk about Ben Allen and a post he made a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I hope our producer pull that and we can get that up on the screen, because I think that you need to understand what's happening. And I want to leave this here and pardon the language. But he made a post of Mayor Lumumba going to sign up for re-election, right? To qualify. The deadline of January 31st or whenever it was. But he made this, and it says, "Is this your mayor, you dumbasses?" Really? Our minority community has driven this city to total, complete shame. Look at this clown. Take a look at that picture. Take a look at that picture. And again, Ben Allen says, "Is this your mayor, you dumbasses?" Really? Our, quote, minority community has driven this city to total, complete shame. Look at this clown. I don't even know where to begin to dissect this, so bear with me. Hang with me for just a few. I don't know where to begin, because every time I see it and read it, it makes me angry. And Ben Allen and I, we clashed when he was city council. But you know, there were some times when he wasn't in the sauce and heavy on the drinking that, you know, we could talk, right? That we could talk. So when he wasn't heavy on the sauce, we could talk rationally, you know, and I challenged, you know, his votes and all of those kinds of things. And even when he was at Downtown Jackson Partners and the mess that he got into with handling monies and all of that, I don't think anyone in the minority community called him a dumbass. I don't think anybody in the minority community said, "Look at this clown." But I get it. When you're deep in the sauce, when you're heavy in the sauce, the truth comes out. That's like a truth syrup, right? That's what it is. What it's always been called. Darren says, if he didn't think it was wrong, why delete it? I'm minority and you dumbasses was code for black folk. Absolutely. And I'll take it a step further. Excuse me. When he said minority, that was his way of saying nigga, right? When he said minority, that was his way of saying nigga. But he was bold. You dumbasses. It's this your mayor. And I don't know the genesis of his post other than being a racist piece of, that's all I know. Because when I look at this picture and what Mayor Lumumba has on, I find nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't have done it, but that's me. I'm much older than he is. But I think the mayor in this attire sent a very strong message, right? I think he sent a very strong message. Like, number one, you don't get to determine when I show up and sign up and turn my paperwork in. You don't get to determine that. You don't know what the rest of my day was like. You don't know if I was in the office or if I was off. You don't get to determine that. Number two, very strong message. I think he spoke directly to his core audience. And I think he said, we all we got. We're in this together. Let me tell you something. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. People started researching and looking at the price tag of what this man was wearing. Now, there are a lot of reasons to criticize the man, this administration. There are tons of reasons to do that, right? And I've been on that bandwagon, and I've been on that bandwagon, and to a large extent, I still am. But it's about record. It's about voting. It's about action, not about what the man is wearing, right? Let me tell you something. I'm the dumbass, right? I'm the dumbass because he is our mayor. I'm the dumbass because he is our mayor. I'm the dumbass because I voted for him, right? He is our mayor. There's absolutely nothing wrong with what he has on. Hell, I wish I could afford it. I was in Neiman's Marcus this weekend in Atlanta. I went looking for it after I started reading all these posts and people knew the vendor and all of that, right? People knew the vendor, people knew the prices. So I went into Neiman's and I looked. I can't afford it, right? I'm the dumbass that can't afford it. I'm the minority that can't afford it. I'm the minority that has driven this city into the ground. And so here's what I would say to the likes of Ben Allen and all of those white Northeast Jackson Republicans that share his train of thought, because he got lots of responses, but I guess when it came to his senses, he took it down because of all the pushback. But if you're so bad and bold and thought that it was okay, why take it down? You're a thumb bandit, a thumb thug, right? You are a thumb thug, Ben, a thumb thug. Because you're bad behind the keyboard, but say it to his face, right? You're bad behind the keyboard. And lots of folk are like that. Lots of folk are bad in front of a screen, a computer screen, or a phone, or with a keyboard. Lots of folk are bad. Thumb thugs. That's what I call them, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with the bed. Would I wear it? If I could afford it, I probably would. Now, would I have shown up to sign up for mayor like that? But I'm not his core audience. I'm not who he's trying to target. I think he sent a very powerful message that he's not deterred by you. He's not bothered by you at all. At all. Yeah, Trump is giving a lot of these folk false confidence, right? They're thumb thugs. He is. But let me tell you something. let me tell you something. I know I have friends, close friends, family that totally disagree with me, and I get it, and that's okay. That's the beauty of the world that we are in. But here's what I can tell you. Ben's boldness is indicative of what most of them think. But that they want somebody they can get along with, that they can control. And let me tell you something. This race for mayor, they're trying to make it about money, whether they have special requests or acts or not. This race, they are attempting to make black and white. And I know Northeast Jackson has been donating to certain folk, and I know, they all get labeled. But my friends, this time around, it's problematic for me. And for so many reasons, right? For so many reasons. And Ben Allen is leading the charge for them. Look at this. And Ashby Foote pulling out of the Republican primary and running as an independent. This post speaks to that. Right? This post speaks to that. So don't get it twisted. Don't get it confused. We will decide who the next mayor is, whether we continue with this guy or we elect someone differently. But our votes can't be bought. And I don't care, as history has shown us, I don't care how much money you pump into one particular candidate. It has been proven time and time again that money don't vote. Signs don't vote. People vote, right? And guess what? My vote can't be bought at all. My vote can't be bought. So, black folk, we got to stay alarmed. We've got to stay alert. My commitment is that a week from today on Tuesday, I was going to try to do it Thursday, but I have so much going on Thursday. But my commitment is Tuesday of next week, I'm going to offer my top 5 candidates for mayor. Right? It won't be done based on interviews, because I'm not meeting with them, none of that. Right? It will be done, though, based on impact. What are you currently doing for Jackson? What impact or pacts have you made? What lives have you transformed? What are you doing to make Jackson better? Or are you just complaining on the campaign trail about the problems in Jackson and making all of these false promises? So no, I'm not going to interview 22 people to try to pick my top 5. It's going to be based on my observation and the impact or lack thereof that I think that you have. We are better than what is being attempted to be tossed down our throats and in our faces and this undue influence. You can't buy this mayor's race. I reject the notion, but it's just proven itself, right? That we don't respond to the money that you dump into these campaigns. History has proven that. You would think at some point that you would connect the dots and maybe think again or think about a different strategy. The unfortunate part, folks, and let me be very clear, the unfortunate part is that they are attempting to play on our intelligence. Yet, two, they chose not to qualify. I've heard of one that's going to fight that, so I'm just going to kind of stick with the 22 for now. But what makes me sad? Barney's so silly. Go give us the bottom two. What makes me sad, though, is that they are attempting to play on our intelligence. So you pump this money into this campaign. You can buy all of these television commercials. You can buy all of these radio commercials. You can do all of these mailers, and you create this space of undue influence because they're trying to play on our intelligence. The fact is, we're not going to fall for the okie doke. We're not. We're not. And it ain't really about sifting through all 2022 candidates and them trying to decide the best one that they can get behind. It's about race, clout, and party. And to me, race and party kind of go hand in hand. Race and party kind of go hand in hand. And I think that post Ben Allen made is indicative of what the white Northeast Jackson Republicans are trying to do in this race. It's different this time. It's bad this time. And I just don't think that we should turn our city over to someone who would take the highest bidder to take the city away from us. I don't think we should do it. That's where I am. We'll talk about that more, right? We'll talk about that more. We got lots to talk about as it relates to this mayor's race. We got lots to talk about as it relates to these city council races. I challenge you, research the record of these people. Research the record of these folk who currently hold offices. Research their records. And then those folks that are not already elected, research what they've done in this city, what they've done for this city. Because anybody can talk a good game. But do your research. Find out the records, man. Find out the records of these folks. All right? Do that. Do that. Do that. And as my good friend, good brother, Greg says all the time, we've got to organize, man. We've got to organize. We've got to show these people that we are better than what they are trying to force upon us. Thank you, Greg, for that. We've got to organize. We've got to organize. All right. It's a little after 9. It's time to get out of here, but I really want to touch on this just for a quick, hot minute, and that's the Marty, stop, man. Just stop. Just stop. Go smoke a cigarette, man. Stop. But I do want to touch on this real quick before we get out of here, and that's this whole halftime performance at the Super Bowl by Kendrick Lamar. And so I got to tell you that I fall on both sides of the spectrum, right? Because when I first watched it, and I'll admit, when I first watched it, and let me qualify my first viewing. I was tired, I was exhausted, I just got back in from Atlanta, so I was watching it in between naps, right? I was dozing off and on, so I was watching in between naps, and so admittedly, when I watched for the first time, it was very underwhelming to me, right? It was underwhelming. Um, um, and honestly, it was boring to me when I first watched it. But the next day, I went to the barber shop, and my barber spent an hour catching me up on the beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, catching me up on the significance of who Kendrick Lamar is and all of the symbolisms and the messages in his performance. It caused me to go watch it again. And I did. And I saw it. And I understand. But here's what I want to say. All of you real deep thinkers who said that the messages went over folk head, don't do that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but don't do that. Don't think that you're so intellectually savvy that only you got the messages that was out there. And it was full of messages. But don't think that you're the only ones who got it and that it went over folk head. Right? Don't do that. That's a silly, silly, silly argument. Because there are people who got the message that still found it to be a boring halftime show. Now, all of you Drake fans, don't call it boring just because it was Kendrick Lamar. I get both sides of the argument because I get when people, the halftime is huge and people look for entertainment, right? People look for entertainment, and I get that they tune in for that, and I totally understand that argument. But I also totally understand why he used the stage to send those messages. And someone even said, well, if you have to explain it and you have to dissect it and read it and research it, why do it? Well, one thing that I would say to that is they always say, if you don't want a black person to find out something or to know anything, put it in a book. Sometimes researching and reading is a good thing, right? Sometimes researching and reading is a good thing. So don't act too woke and don't hate too much because you're a Drake fan. I understand now better than I ever have over the course of these last 2 or 3 days, the beef between the two. Because quite frankly, none of their music appeals to me because that's just not the genre of music that I like. I'll bob to a beat, like a hook, but on a regular, neither one of them as an artist appeal to me, right? But that's just me. That's just me. So understand both sides of the argument. And to Stephen A. Smith, who said that Serena's husband should divorce her because she's not gotten over Drake, that's the most asinine, absurd thing I've ever heard. You wish somebody was fascinating over you. Come on, man. Come on, man. That's dumb. That's absolutely dumb. Kendrick Lamar's performance was powerful. It's not entertaining for me. It was educational. When I tune into halftime shows, I look for entertainment. I understand why he did it. And I'm glad he did it because there were a lot of hidden messages, right? Don't be too woke that you think everybody missed it. And don't be a hater because you are a Drake fan. Meet in the middle. Understand it, right? Meet in the middle. Just understand it, right? Just understand it. Understand it. Because I do. I think everybody does, right? I think everybody does. At any rate, we've got to get out of here. Listen, I ran out of time because I wanted to create this graphic and to have all of these names scrolling, and we'll get that done for next week because I don't want you to think that I take your support for granted because I don't. Gloria, thank you. Dawn, thank you. Jamie, thank you to everybody. Tony, thank you to everybody that has donated. But I want to do it right, and I want to do it fancy. So I'm going to create this graphic and have names scrolling for all of you that supports us, that support us. Because I'm grateful, I'm appreciative, right? I'm grateful, I'm appreciative. And we cannot do this without you. So continue your support. Yeah, it was Uncle Sam for me too. Continue your support. I'm grateful for this platform, and I'm grateful for your support. That's our broadcast for this Tuesday. Have a great night, everybody.